seen this thing yet. Oh, apparently my mic was on mute. Sorry. Audio was off there for a second. We're back now. Sorry, guys. If the title of this video does not give it away, this is an open spoiler discussion of Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 4. So if you've not seen that episode yet, you may want to come back a little bit later. You might want to come back in just a little bit, maybe after you've had a chance to go and watch the show, because we are going to be talking in all things open spoiler discussion-y about this particular episode. And so here's what today's this stream is going to be, guys. We're basically going to spend the whole time taking your thoughts, theories, opinions, speculations, questions about this episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, unlike the John Campea Show, where you use the tip link, for these special open spoiler discussions, if you want to submit a thought, opinion, speculation, theory, or question, use the super chat feature right here on the YouTube chat, and that's how you get it in here, guys. And look, before we get over to that, let me just give my brutally honest opinion. While I have enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier so far, and for the most part, there are some parts of Falcon and Winter Soldier I have loved. Some parts of it I've absolutely loved. Like Bucky's whole speech, if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me. It's like, oh, come on, are you kidding? Io popping up at the end of the last episode. But I will say I have not loved the series overall. I've been enjoying it. I've liked watching it. There are parts that I've loved. But overall, I've not been loving the series the way I was loving WandaVision at this point, by the time, we hit episode 4 of WandaVision. Last night's episode, because for me, it came on at midnight last night. Last night's episode fundamentally changed my whole perception of the show. It is one of the best single episodes, I think, that Disney Plus has put out so far. And I'm including Mandalorian Season 1, Mandalorian Season 2, WandaVision. Last night's episode, for me, I'm not necessarily saying it was the best episode out of all of those, but it ranks up there. It brought the intensity. It brought the moral dilemmas. It gave us more depth to the characters. There are no, two-dimensional characters or one-dimensional characters in this show. It brought more depth to the characters. It had great drama. It had great action. And oh my God, that ending was powerful. So good. And let me start off with Walmart Captain America for a second. How good is Wyatt Russell in this role? Seriously, how good is he in this role? Because, and again, they haven't made him just like, oh, he's a stereotypical this or that. I love that scene when him and Battlestar are talking and he's like asking Battlestar, like, if you had the chance to take the serum, would you? Like, he does struggle with the moral questions. He wants to be a hero. It's not just that he sees himself as the good guy. He wants to be the good guy. He wants to be better than he is. Like, so on several levels, he has a lot of, not all of, but he has a lot of the attributes of a superhero. He wants to do the right thing. He aspires to do the right thing. But unlike Steve Rogers, who the scientist did nothing but look at his moral character and his moral character only. Steve Rogers is one of the only guys with that moral character that could have the super soldier serum and maintain exactly what it is he was. And I don't know, like we're seeing John Walker struggle with not living up to this mantle he's been given. He takes seriously, like he doesn't make excuses when he loses to the Dora Milaje. He doesn't make excuses. He's just, they weren't even super soldiers. He just acknowledged, like, I got my ass kicked. They weren't even super soldiers. And he hates himself for it. He hates himself that he got bested and he got beat. He didn't make excuses. Oh, I would have taken them. No, he's just like, they weren't even super soldiers. They kicked my ass. And the way he struggles, he didn't just grab the super soldier serum and go, yeah. He actually struggled with the decision. And he went to Battlestar's like, I don't know, man. Like, would you take it? And Battlestar, hell's yes. And he struggles with some of the accolades he's been given. And I love that they're not just making him, I'm actually evil, ha 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 ha, and they made me Captain America, ha 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 ha. I love that they're making it more complex than that. And think about this. As stunning as that ending was, where he kills the Flag Smasher, think about this. These guys were terrorists that have been killing civilians, and he just watched them kill his best friend. It kind of puts it in a little bit of different context, right? I mean, think about Tony Stark. We think of him as a hero. He was trying to kill Bucky, and Bucky didn't even voluntarily kill his parents. He was under the mind control of other people. But so look at now John Walker. These people he's after, they are terrorists. They've been bombing buildings. They've been killing civilians, and they just saw them kill his best friend. And so to me, when you get to that last scene and he's using Cap shield, and how great was that shot of Cap shields half covered in blood? Like, what a visual image. What an incredibly powerful visual image of that shield covered in blood. The blood of his victim. But as he's sitting there and he's got the shield and he's killing that Flag Smasher, part of it was, oh man, he's bad. But the other part of it was my heart was breaking for him a little bit too. He just saw his best friend in the world murdered at the hands of a terrorist. And so I'm feeling all these different mixed emotions as we're seeing John Walker cross a line he can't come back from now and murder that person with Cap's shield. But at the same time, it's happening and you feel pain for him and you feel sorrow for him. It's just so brilliantly done. They really did the best job. I've never liked Falcon or Sam's character more than I liked him in this episode. I've always liked Sam, but I've never liked his character more than in this episode. It just, the whole diplomacy aspect of him, like them playing to the fact, look, before I met Steve Rogers, my life was about helping to counsel people who are going through this kind of pain. And they play back into that. And I love that. I love the beginning episode going back to Wakanda 6 years ago as they healed Bucky of his programming. I love seeing Io. I love seeing the Dora Milaje show up. Because when the Dora Milaje walk in, you're like, oh, fuck. Shit's about to get real, everybody. Like when the Dora Milaje, not just Io, but when the other two Dora Milaje came in, it's like, oh, you sons of bitches, you just run. Just run. Just get the hell out of there. It was so badass. And then the fight was great. All the fights were great. And watching Bucky like beat the hell out of that one super soldier Flag Smasher. It's like, I'm not just another super soldier. You realize that, right? Like, I am the Winter Soldier. Like, don't forget, everybody at home. Yeah, I'm Bucky. And yes, I have the super soldier serum. I am also the Winter Soldier. And like that, this episode reminded me a lot of that. And I even like when like John Walker was going to go in and try to get Carly while Sam was trying to talk to her. And Bucky just stands in front of the door. It's like, no, this ain't going to happen. Cap. This ain't going to happen. No, sir. No, sir. But I also like, let's talk about Carly for a second. I also like, love the fact that, you know me, my favorite villains are the ones who on a real level of conviction believe themselves to be the heroes. They not just believe themselves to be the heroes, they actually believe they're doing the right thing. And the whole thing about the idea that the super soldier serum can bring out the worst in you, the fact that this Carly person probably was somebody who never would have dreamed of blowing up a building with innocent people inside, but those are now lines she's willing to cross. The fact that Sam was having that discussion with her saying, look, I empathize and even agree with what your cause is, but I can't get on board with the way you're fighting it. You're crossing lines. There was so much, and let's talk about Zemo. Is anybody else starting to get the feeling that Zemo is just playing everybody? That Zemo is like, has forget 5 strings. He's got 1,000 strings. And anybody else getting this feeling he's just orchestrating this whole thing? And by the way, remember last week we were talking a little bit about, I don't actually think so, but I believe there's a possibility here Sharon Carter could be the power broker. I don't know. This episode, I'm even buying a little bit more. Again, I'm not willing to put $5 on that, but I'm even willing to buy in a little bit more on this whole idea that Sharon herself may be the power broker. Now, again, I'm not willing to put money on that yet, but I'm telling you, the more I'm watching this, the more we see, I'm starting to maybe buy into that theory a little bit more and more every single time. Again, bottom line for me is I have enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier so far. I have loved certain moments of Falcon and Winter Soldier so far, but overall, I have not loved the series yet. This changes that. This episode made me fall in love with this series. And again, I state this for those of you who are just joining us a few minutes late. I think this is one of the best episodes that Disney Plus has ever put out, including Mandalorian Season 1, Mandalorian Season 2, WandaVision, and now Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is one of the best episodes they've ever done. And I mean, I just haven't felt like this at the end of a Falcon and Winter. Like last night, me, Ann, and our buddy Ryan, we were watching this thing at midnight, and when it was done, I was just like shaking. I was so buzzed, and I haven't had that feeling yet at the end of any of the Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes. Even though there have been some good endings like Io popping up in the last one, but woo! Damn, that was a good episode of television, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great, and still no post-credit scenes. Still no post-credit scenes. I suspect that we will get a post-credit scene at the end of the next episode. I suspect that at the end of the episode 5, that's leading into the final episode of the series, I think we'll get a post-credit episode. But anyway, guys, that's just some of my basic thoughts. Let's now go over and spend the rest of our time here today just hearing from you guys and what you guys have to say about yesterday's episodes, thoughts, opinions, all that kind of stuff. So let's not waste any time and jump over there, shall we? We're going to start things off here. And guys, you're just going to have to bear with me. The chat tracker is jumping all over the place, so I'm going to have to do a lot of scrolling today. Anyway, Jesse Keller writes, "Holy God, that ending, amazing. I had a feeling Walker would take the serum before the episode ended, but my God, the violence and gore at the end, such a great episode." Again, I was just flabbergasted by that last image of a Cap, not real Cap, but Cap, standing there with Steve's shield half covered in blood. It was such a powerful image. And by the way, listen, that moment is going to change all of the MCU. That moment's going to change the entire MCU. Because you had everybody around with cell phones recording Captain America straight up having a suspect under control, straight up murdering the guy with Cap's shield. This is going to have repercussions. I believe that moment is going to have long-lasting repercussions in the MCU and plays right into Zemo's hands. Anyway, thanks for that, Jesse. Matthew Cassidy writes, "A brutal episode, epic fights. Lamar is Walker's only friend, and I wonder if Cap didn't have Peggy, he would have gone bad when Bucky died in First Avenger. I think he would have been okay. Again, I think everything about Steve Trevor was all about his character. He was just a scrawny little kid. All he was a great heart. He was a good man. He was selfless and like that. And that's the whole thing that the scientist was looking for, right? To be in this guy. He wanted a good man and he found that. So yeah, I think I think Cap, Steve would have been still fine. But yeah, it's like this dude, his best friend, which was the one guy that was mooring him mentally, gone now. Where are we going to go from here? This could get really, really... Did I say Steve Trevor again? I always say Steve Trevor. Steve Rogers. I always say Steve Trevor. Whenever I'm trying to say Steve Rogers, I always say Steve Trevor. Anyway, Solarf writes, "The John Walker heel turn is complete. Fun show." And again, you know, it's great because it wasn't just a straight up heel turn. It was a heel turn born out of pain and loss and again, there was emotion to it, and I just loved it the way they did it. Tony Hurd writes, even though it's pitched as a buddy action series, I love how for a majority of it dives into the characters' ideologies. True. And we're seeing more and more of that. It's about competing ideologies. Marvel isn't just dishing up, here's the right side, here's the wrong side. They're presenting the drawbacks of the heroes and the good points being made by like our flag smashers. And they're really they're making us as an audience to really engage ourselves in it, to struggle and wrestle with these questions that these characters are struggling and wrestling with too. It's brilliantly done. Tony Hurd also writes, even though I was sure Walker would turn the way he did, I genuinely felt bad to see him crack under the pressure. Again, Tony, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Like, you're shocked at him now murdering a guy, but at the same time, while it's happening, I couldn't help but feel empathy for him and pain for him and sorrow for him. Not just because his best friend was just killed right in front of his eyes, but now this guy who, at the end of the day, he really does want to be a hero, crossing a line he can never come back from. And my heart broke for him at the same time. And it was so beautifully done. All right. Cinda Flame writes, well, that's not the look the U.S. wanted beamed around the world. So much for saving lives with the serum. Can't wait for next week. Again, that moment, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be that moment of John Walker killing the guy with Captain America's shield while wearing the Stars and Stripes Captain America uniform. That is going to have repercussions far outside of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I believe this is going to have repercussions outside of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And you're right, man, not the image they wanted broadcast around the world, Cinda. Very well put. All right. Live in Spirals writes, I'm really banking on us getting a flashback with Bucky and Isaiah. We've had 2 flashback sequences so far. It would be criminal not to show the fight when they got him in makeup already. I disagree. And the reason I disagree is this. The flashbacks show us things and gives us information that we haven't known yet. Like, we had no idea what Bucky had to go through to get deprogrammed. We had no idea who it was that did it. We had no idea how he responded. Like, this was all unknown information. And the flashback gave us that information. With the Isaiah thing, while I would not be opposed to seeing a flashback of them fighting, what new information is it giving us? Isaiah already kind of laid out for us. So it would be wasted screen time. Narratively, from my point of view, it would just really be wasted screen time. Like they're just spending stuff on screen for things, that information they've already given us. So I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't think there is a purpose for doing that flashback. But that's just my opinion on that. I still do think, I didn't think this at first, but I do now. I still do think we're going to see Isaiah again, I believe. Whether it's Sam giving him the shield at the end, or Bucky going to see him again, or maybe a flashback. I do believe we're going to see him again, but I don't know that it's going to be in a flashback. I just don't see the purpose for it. It'd be fun to watch, watching that super soldier fight. That would be fun to watch, but is it necessary for the story? It's actually not necessary for the story. So I don't know if they're going to go in that direction, but you never know, man. You never know. Let's see where they go with it. All right. Thanks for that, Live in Spirals. All right. Alex Burgos writes, the Walker heel turn seems so obvious. I was hoping they took it in a different direction. Am I the only one who sees his dialogue to be cartoon? I'm going to disagree with you on that, Alex. I think his dialogue, especially his dialogue with Battlestar prior to him taking the serum, I thought revealed his soul. I thought it revealed his heart. I thought it gave us a really good look at the character, and which set up this moment that was, I think, incredibly powerful. Now, again, it's all subjective, Alex. So, I mean, if you watch the same thing I did and it hit you in that way, well, then that's the way it hit you. There's nothing wrong with that. I just got to tell you, it hit me very, very differently. I've come to really, really appreciate this character. I'm really enjoying this character, enjoying hating him, enjoying making fun of him, but there's also depth to him. And for one, Alex, I gotta say, for me, it's really working. For you, it's not. Totally cool, but I gotta say, for me, it is so far. So let's see if they continue to be able to evolve on that. All right, Samuel Shin writes, I love it when the MCU takes itself more seriously. My cup of tea. Liked how the idea of good becomes great / bad becomes worse still applies. Steve was one and only. I liked how Zemo acknowledged it. Yeah, that was true. That was actually kind of interesting because Zemo has spoke about Cap before, right? Zemo spoke about like when I met Captain America, blah, blah. But when he's talking about how the super soldier serum basically can make you bad, and he says, what about Steve? And Zemo just says, touche. Yeah. But Steve was the exception that proves the rule. Steve's incredibly high moral standard proves what Zemo was actually saying. And it's even somebody who is basically fundamentally a good man. Walker, in the world of, is that a good man or a bad man? Walker is a good man, but he doesn't meet that same moral standard that Steve Rogers does. And you take a character like that and put him under the pressure and the spotlight, and then you add super soldier serum to it. It can get messy. And I agree. Listen, I love the lighthearted MCU. And one of the great effects of the lighthearted MCU is that when they decide to go more stone cold serious, it makes it far more effective. Right? If it's always, we're so dark and we're so serious, then when something dark and serious happens, it's just par for the course. But when you have that dynamic range, then you really feel the impact of it going both ways. Anyway, that's how I see that, Samuel. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. All right, next up, we got Johnny Weiner writes, I don't really like this Zemo so far. Thought he was lame in Civil War. I thought he was kind of lame in Civil War too. Now this, he isn't as good as he was in the comics. By the way, U.S. agent showing his true colors. I don't know if he's showing his true colors or if he's being, look, what does a Joker would say? All it takes is one bad day. I think the notion here is that everybody has that darkness in them. And Walker is just now in a certain set of circumstances that the worst of it is coming out. But I got to tell you, I'm loving Zemo so far. To me, I feel like he is just playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. I feel like he's like 5 steps ahead of everybody. Even more than I think we realize. All right. Sorry. Like I said, guys, I'm sorry about the question list here. It's just jumping all over the place. It's totally outside of my control. Nothing I can do about it. Let's see here. Next up. That was Johnny. Alejandro writes, how is the USA government going to justify that? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, they'll probably justify it by saying this was a known terrorist who just bombed a building and killed a bunch of civilians. They'll probably take that line. But it's going to cause problems. I think that whole thing is going to cause problems. De Freitas writes, even though it was expected, it doesn't mean it isn't effective. Absolutely. I hope we get to see Walker become more Homelander. If Marvel plays their cards right, we can have a great villain here. His reasons to get the serum are totally justified. Even if I don't agree with his methods, great episode. Well, remember, it's not even like he was going after the serum. He just happened to come across it. There was one left. He wasn't after the serum per se. There was one left and he saw an opportunity and he took it. And you're right. Sometimes not everything being expected means it's bad. Look, did anybody not expect that the good guys were going to win an endgame? Of course, we all knew they were going to win an endgame. So as expected, they won an endgame. Did that make it any less effective? Not at all. Did anybody not think in Justice League that they were going to beat Steppenwolf? Of course, we all knew they were going to beat Steppenwolf. Did that make it less effective? Not at all. So yes, being some elements being predictable are good, as long as you also have unpredictable elements, and I think they were able to do that in there. De Freitas, thanks for sending that in, man. Darth Grant writes, after what Carly did, I can't blame John. If my best friend was killed like that, I don't know what I'd do, but I'm certain rage and emotion would take over. And again, I'll go back to Tony Stark, right? Tony was about to murder a guy. He wanted to kill Bucky. And Bucky wasn't even in control of himself. It wasn't Bucky's fault. But, I mean, he just heard that this is the guy who killed my parents. John Walker was standing right there and he watched these people murder his best friend. That's harsh. That doesn't excuse John Walker's actions afterwards, but it creates a paradigm. That's what it does. For a lens in which we see the character. And yeah, man, I just thought it was crazy that way. I thought it was absolutely crazy that way. All right. Next up, we got Quentin, who writes, best episode yet. Completely agree with you, Quentin. The look on Walker's face reminded me of Homelander when he is being yelled at by all the protesters. I thought he was going to snap at them. Will be interesting to see the consequences. I mean, I am just sitting here wondering right now, where the hell do they go with this? Where the hell do they go with this? Right? Because they very purposefully showed us a lot of people standing around taking images and taking pictures and video recording the whole thing, right? It's, what do you do? What do they do now? It's powerful. It's crazy. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with this. So yeah. All right. Let's move on here. Next up, Bert writes, there were a few tourists with smartphones. So what? John Walker's response to his tainting the shield. Holy smokes, he went all Homelander. Yeah, I mean, this is now an image that's going to go around the world. In a world with Sokovian Accords, in a world with like all this kind of stuff, and now you got this new Captain America, and they see him kind of becoming the worst nightmare of what they wanted that guy to be. It's going to be very, very interesting. But again, I don't think the ramifications of that episode are just going to be felt in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think the ramifications of that episode are going to be felt in the MCU moving forward. We'll see how big of a scale they make it. Wakanda Forever writes, Bucky, you are free, brought tears to my eyes. It was a beautiful moment. And seeing Bucky emotionally respond the way he did when she said that to him was beautiful. Alex Hobson writes, the ending with John Walker killing and holding up the bloody shield might be the most violent graphic thing we have seen in the MCU from my memory. Thor also decapitating Thanos as he was being pinned down is kind of up there too. But I mean, you're right. It was that image, that one single frame of him standing there with the shield now covered in blood. That, you know what they say, a picture says 1,000 words, is worth 1,000 words. That one image says so much about him, about the dilemma they're now all in, about the circumstances he's just now created. It just speaks volumes, Alex. So I think you're absolutely right about that. That bloody shield image is incredible. It's incredible. Tragic and incredible at the same time. All right, Wakanda Forever writes, how's the arm, LOL? Messing with the Dora Milaje, are you insane? Come in, everyone. We don't want the shield. Mic drop, just walk away. First of all, when Io shows up, it's like, okay, yeah. There's about to be business. Business is about to be had, ladies and gentlemen. And when the other two Dora Milaje walk in, business is good. Not only is there business, but business is good. I'm with you. I'm just like, okay, at this point, we just leave. We just walk away because it is the Dora Milaje. All right, next up, James Hoffman writes, fantastic episode. Completely agree, James. Tense with great dialogue and great action. What a WTF moment at the end. That imagery of the blood on Cap's shield was so powerful. It is, to me, it is a defining image of this post-Endgame MCU. That is the defining image of the post-Endgame MCU. Like, to me, the defining image of the MCU prior to now, like from the first Iron Man movie to the end of Endgame, the defining image was that image. It's a wide shot. On one end of the field, you have Thanos and all of his armies. And on this end, you have Captain America alone, strapping up what's left of his shield, getting ready to fight them all himself. To me, that image was the image of the MCU. In the post-Endgame world right now, this new image is the image of the MCU post-Endgame to me. This is the image of the post-MCU Endgame. Post-Endgame MCU, I should say. It was just so powerfully done, so great, so, again, just so powerful. I haven't been able to not think about it since the end of that episode. It's just so good. Anyway, let's go on here. Timothy Platt writes, John Walker reacted how any of us would have if we just saw our best friend murdered in front of our eyes. All it takes is one bad day. And on top of that, let's not forget, it's not like it was just some random guy who accidentally killed him. This was a terrorist who has been blowing up buildings with civilians inside, right? Combine that with the fact that he just witnessed his best friend murdered. Again, I was watching it and feeling horrified, and also my heart was breaking for him all at the same time. That is powerful storytelling. When the actions of a character can elicit all of that emotion out of you, I'm horrified by what he's doing, but my heart is also breaking for him. That is some good ass storytelling right there, Timothy. And I just really, really adored that. I thought that was great. Cam K writes, that subtle call to civil war with Walker killing that guy was interesting. Anyways, do you think Zemo's on his way to Yori, or even Isaiah, he's aware? No, that's the least of his worries right now. Like, as far as Zemo goes, like Isaiah and all that, that's the least of his problems. He's not worried about that. The bigger problem obviously for him right now is these flag smashers. Carly is the big problem to him. Like, at least Isaiah has taken himself off the field, right? Isaiah's not even a pawn on the board anymore. Isaiah's taken himself off the board. Maybe later that's something Zemo might want to address. But for right now, I don't think it is. It's just the Carly is the priority right now. Getting Carly and her followers, they're the dangerous ones. They're the ones who threaten what he thinks is the balance in the world. So no, I don't think he's after Isaiah right now. Maybe much later he thinks I'll go after that guy too. But right now, I don't think he's worried about it. All right. Next up. The Wakanda Forever writes, was that where we're at? Yes. Wakanda Forever writes, Dollar Store Captain America is going to be on steroids now. Roid rage. I swear I can't stand this guy. Hop in the DeLorean. We need Chris Evans ASAP. I'm telling you, I'm loving this character though. I love that they have made this character multidimensional. I love that they have showed us there is a good side to him, a desire to be a hero, to do the right thing, to earn the respect that a lot of people give him. He wants to earn that respect. I think he's a good man, but nowhere near the standard that you need to be to take that super soldier serum, the standard of a Steve Rogers. He's just not that. And that's playing itself out. All right. Cam K writes, I agree, John. Best episode yet. By the way, couldn't Hulk put Cap through the same process as Ant-Man's age change in Endgame if we ever need? No, I think that was like unstable. They couldn't control how that was happening. That was completely random stuff. It was unstable. Kind of Tony verified that a little bit later on. So yeah, so I don't think that is a way they can do it. I don't think that's a way they can do it. All right, guys, here's what I'm going to do. This whole thing about this thing jumping all over the place, it's driving me crazy. So I need to fix this up here for a minute. So we're going to take a short break here. Give me like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. I need to fix this because I can't keep doing this whole scrolling thing and refinding my place every 2 minutes. Stream Elements, your programming on this absolutely sucks. You guys are incompetent fucktards. Please do something right and get this fixed. Okay, anyway, we will be back. Can you tell I'm frustrated? We will be back in just a couple of minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. Okay, guys, and we are back. Sorry about that. I had to get things kind of rearranged. I had to take all the questions, get them into a document so we can do these things properly without things jumping all over the place. Okay, let's keep on rolling here, shall we? And we're getting things going here again with The Eighth, who writes, I think I've gone crazy. I was rooting for Walker while he was bashing that guy with the shield. I feel like it's because I hated that generic henchman. Well, I mean, but again, don't lose sight of the fact that it's not like Walker randomly came across the guy and decided, I feel like killing somebody today. This was a terrorist who was killing civilians, and he just witnessed these guys kill his best friend, right? So I could understand somebody cheering for him in that situation. I could get that. Like I said, me, myself, I felt horrified, and I felt like my heart was breaking for the guy at the same time. So yeah, it was a powerful scene, man. Next up, we've got the Wakanda Forever, who writes, I never thought Disney could follow up WandaVision with a show that would get me even more excited to watch every week. This may be their best episode of TV to date. I was absolutely floored. Listen, I have not liked Falcon and Winter Soldier as much as I have liked WandaVision up until now. I've liked it, but I haven't loved it the way I loved WandaVision. But this single episode was better than any single episode. I still think right now WandaVision is the overall better show, but this episode was better than any single episode on WandaVision, and I really hope the last two episodes follow up with that as well. We'll see. All right, next up, Cam K writes, it's a possibility that Walker just tainted the legacy of Captain America. Maybe. Sam taking up the shield to redeem/clear that names as opposed to living up to it would be a fantastic way to take this story. You know what? I'm really glad when they were asking, like, Sam, would you take the serum? I was so glad Sam said no. Because, this came up the other day. It's like, I like the fact that he doesn't have the super soldier serum. It's one of the big main things that differentiates him from the real Captain America. And even if he does take up the shield, and even if he does want to take up the mantle, I love the fact that they would leave that as a defining difference between the two of them. So I really did like that a lot. All right, next up. Ian Lewis writes, the running theme now I see is introduce new heroes in these TV series. Could you see X-Men showing? No, just no. Could you see X-Men showing up like this? Or like in another show. Oh, okay, in another show. Could you see X-Men showing up like this? Or maybe they produce their own TV shows. I think X-Men are going to be introduced in a big way on the big screen. And whether that's in their own movie is going to be the first out of the gate for X-Men, or whether they introduce X-Men in a much later movie that's somebody else's, I'm not sure. I think we're still a little ways away from having X-Men introduced at all. But I think it'll be done in a big way, and I think it will be done on the big screen. That's the way I'm guessing. I mean, I don't know that. Nobody's told me that, but that's my guess, Lewis. All right, next up. Timothy Platt writes, well, I guess we know how Sam gets the shield back. Bloodied. That's how he gets it back. He gets it back bloodied. Look, clearly, with the super soldier serum, Sam can't take John Walker alone. I think we're going to be ending up in a fight between John Walker, Sam, and Bucky. I think that's what's going to come down to, and they're going to get the shield back. So then what do they do with the shield? I'm not really sure yet. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. All right, next up. Cam K writes, John, what are your thoughts on remaining serums? I feel the power broker may still have maybe one or some. Also, if not, could Walker become a lab rat? I hope we're done. Honestly, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even like the fact that they brought super soldier serums back into it again. Because this now means they can give anybody superpowers they want at any given time. And to me, that's not fun. That's not interesting. That's not good storytelling. So frankly, I have not been thrilled that they've reintroduced super soldier serums again. And I really felt great when I saw Zemo stomping on the last remaining super soldier serums. So I certainly hope that that's it. I hope that's it. Zemo has now stomped out all of them, and he killed the one doctor who could replicate it. So it seems like Zemo's done his job, and I hope it stays that way. Just me personally, I hope it stays that way. I am over super soldiers. Cap and Bucky are supposed to be unique in this universe. Now there's a bunch of other ones running around, and maybe there'll be a whole bunch more. And it's like, just please move past this. Just say they can't make it anymore. At least I hope they do. All right, next up. Timothy Platt writes, After this episode, I truly hope the power broker catches up to Carly. She is the villain of the show, even if she doesn't see herself that way. Shoot, I'd take Zemo over her. Listen, that's the point. Yeah, I agree. But I also do appreciate that they're showing all the dimensions of her, that she believes she is being heroic. She believes she is doing what is right. She believes that she is helping people and fighting for a better. She believes that. But like a lot of people who believe that, it makes them blind to what they're actually doing. She doesn't feel bad at all that she's killing civilians, that she's murdering innocent people. You know, the ends justify the means sort of thing. And I do really appreciate that. And you're right. She's the villain. She's even a bigger villain than Zemo is. And I mean that literally. So it's kind of crazy the way they're doing that. All right, next up. Arpan writes, blood on the shield, that was dark, man. Don't know about others, but I can't blame John Walker for that. He just acted like most men / soldiers would have. And again, that's why in the midst of him doing that, you're horrified, but your heart broke for him because you understood. But it also, while a lot of us could sit there and look at what he was doing and go, hey man, a lot of us would do that. You're right. But that's why a lot of us aren't Steve Rogers. You know, going all the way back to Captain America, the First Avenger, we understand now that that scientist, he was right. There was really only one guy who could take that super soldier serum and really be what they needed him to be. It's only one guy. And yeah, I think if a lot of us too were chasing down murderers and they just saw them kill our best friends and we're hopped up on a super soldier, maybe a lot of us would have done the exact same thing. But we're not Steve Rogers. And I think that disqualifies any of us from being qualified to carry that shield. You know what I mean? So I think you're right, Arpan. I think you're right. All right, next up. Cam K writes, some oh crap moments, Bucky's arm being deactivated. How great was that? You know what it reminded me of? You guys remember Kill Bill? You know, the death strike? That's kind of what AO did to him, kind of reminded me of, except all of a sudden his arm falls off. And you see how betrayed he looked? He felt so betrayed that she would do that to him. It was such a good thing. Walker's shield being stuck in the wall, Battlestar hitting that pillar. How about, yeah, Battlestar hitting that pillar. You know what? Here's the thing. In comic book movies, we constantly see people being thrown through walls and they go, oh. What happened to Battlestar is what would happen to us if we got thrown across a room into a concrete wall. We would die. And that was powerful. It was so, and I felt so, because that was a good man. Battlestar was a good man. And so your heart broke for him, and especially for John at that moment, because John, it's clear, John Walker loved him. And to watch him die, oh, guys, it was so good. It was so good. Anyway, next up, Cam K writes, pardon me, guys. And a little bit go down the wrong way. There we go. Cam K writes, this is the first episode with a non-character revealing ending. I was satisfied, of course, with how it ends, but do you think that the character reveals are over? No. No. And by the way, this image at the end was better than any character reveal. Like the image of Io appearing in the street, powerful image. The image of Zemo in the cell, powerful image. But the image of John Walker with a bloodied shield from his murder was an even more powerful one. And I just dug that a lot, Cam. All right, Cam also writes, when I saw Sam in his gear, I knew it was about to go down. Anyways, last super chat right here. Love your content, John. Keep up the great work. It's appreciated. Thank you so much, Cam. I appreciate that. And yeah, Sam knew there was going to be action. Remember, Carly just threatened his sister and his nephews. And she wasn't playing. She wasn't just, oh, I just said that. So no. She was dead serious. She was going to have Sam's sister and his nephews killed. And so Sam is like, okay, little girl, listen, I want to help you, but you've crossed the line now. And now you had Sam. Now you get the Falcon. You had Sam, but you threatened my sister and my nephews. So now you get the Falcon. And I thought that was very symbolic. All right, next up. Hero75 writes, I don't think they captured any cell phone image of the guy Walker killed using superpowers. So as far as the world knows, Cap just killed a normal guy. Maybe, but that is easily provable. This was a guy who was part of the Flag Smashers. I mean, that part's easy to prove. But here's the thing. They just got Captain America doing something the real Captain America never would have done. And again, like I said, I think that is going to have repercussions, not just in this show, but I think across all of the MCU moving forward. It's a powerful moment, Hero 75. That is a powerful moment. All right, Hero 75 also writes, I wonder if the U.S. government will strip Walker of the title of Captain America, and he will go even deeper off the deep end when he loses it. This is a PR nightmare. Maybe, but remember what John Walker says, I think in episode 1 or 2, when him and Battlestar are talking, and Battlestar says, are we kind of going off book here? And what does Walker say? He says, as long as we get the job done, do you think they're going to care whether we did it by the playbook? And I have a feeling in this MCU, his government benefactors may just go, hey, he caught a terrorist. And he did. Not just a terrorist, he caught a murderer. He caught a super soldier serumed terrorist who is one of the people responsible for blowing up a building with civilians inside and killing civilians. Oh, and by the way, they also just killed an American agent in Battlestar. I think that's the way they're probably going to spin it. I think that's probably the way they're going to spin it. And that will just embolden John Walker even more to act more that way. Maybe not. Maybe they'll do something completely different, but that's the way they could be going with this. All right, next up, we've got Taki75 who writes, Walker is victim of a toxic mix of self-doubt and rage. You're absolutely right. That scene of him and Battlestar talking before they go into their engagement and Battlestar dies about, he doubts himself. He just had his ass handed to him by the Dora Milaje. He's questioning his worth. He's questioning if he's worthy. He's wondering about, do I need this super soldier serum fix? It's rage. And then his best friend dies. You're right, Taki. It's a brutal mix of both of those things. All right. Aaron W writes, I think next episode we will finally see the engineer reveal. Captain America on the moon base means astronauts. Reed Richards, the engineer is coming. Yeah, no. By the way, I do think there is a possibility. I know it was a joke in episode 1, but I actually think there's a possibility we find out Steve Rogers is on the moon. I'm not kidding. I think there's a chance. Not likely. I wouldn't put money on that. It's a small chance, but I think there's a chance. And we'll find out that he's actually Mephisto. There you go. I just solved all the answers. He's actually Mephisto. Brought it all the way around here, Aaron W. I brought it all the way around. All right, next up. Taki75 writes, I don't think Walker is a villain or even a jerk like Hayward. He personifies the phrase, the road to hell is paved with the best intentions. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate the way they're handling this character. Like, it just, again, and I keep forgetting, let me look it up because I keep forgetting the actual name of the character. Let me go to Captain America First Avenger IMDb because it's killing me now. I got to actually get the name because I got to stop just saying the scientist, who is, of course, like Stanley Tucci plays it. Dr. Abraham Erskine, which, of course, the other scientist referenced Erskine when they found his lab in the last episode. So Stanley Tucci's character, Abraham Erskine, now we understand in hindsight, we look back at him in Captain America, the First Avenger, why he was so dead set about the right kind of man needs to take this serum. The government thinks it's our bravest hero, our greatest soldier, our greatest warrior should take it. Erskine knew, no. This has to go to the purest of pure hearts. This has to go to a man who is a moral North Star, who is a good man, but aside that has a moral standard and an ethical standard and a true heroism about him that doesn't come from physical muscles or his ability to be a warrior. It comes from his ability of being a truly great man. And now, here we are years later, and we're seeing the truth of Erskine's words really playing out in Falcon and Winter Soldier. That is, at the end of the day, the most important thing, and ultimately what made Captain America, and why nobody else can be that. And I think it's really interesting the way they're kind of exhibiting that, Tacky. I think it's interesting the way they're exhibiting that. All right, Frankie Gouge writes, ironic justice would be that Walker ends up a lab rat like Isaiah Bradley. True. I don't think he lives. Now, I don't know that for sure. But I don't think he lives. I think he's probably going to die. And I don't think Sam will kill him. I got a feeling Bucky might kill him. Or, I don't know, maybe even, listen, because in his heart, John Walker wants to be a hero. And hear me out here. I know a lot of people will disagree with me. I wouldn't be shocked if Walker has a heroic death. Kind of like, Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. I wouldn't doubt if John Walker, who still sees himself as a hero, if he sees something, this is best for my country if I dive in front of that bullet or I throw myself on that grenade or whatever it is, I wouldn't doubt if he actually dies a hero. Let me rephrase that. Not die a hero, but die heroically. He's still messed up. So I'm not going to say die a hero, but die heroically. I'm not saying you will. I'm just saying I wouldn't doubt it if that's the way they went with that. All right, next up. Thanks for that, Frankie. Next up, Frankie also writes, poor John Bad Luck Walker never met anything he couldn't F up. Aw, be nice to John Walker. He just lost his best friend, Frankie. Too soon, Frankie, too soon. Always Sketchy writes, do you think Zemo is headed to kill Isaiah Bradley now? No. Could that be the tragedy that has been referenced for episode 5? I don't think so. Listen, I'm not saying that Isaiah Bradley wouldn't be on Zemo's radar at all because he does have the super soldier serum. But the reality is Isaiah Bradley's taken himself off the game board. He retired. He lives in a house. He's become a hermit. He doesn't go out. He doesn't bother anybody. Meanwhile, we've got Carly and a bunch of these new super soldiers running around doing super soldier stuff. And I think that is Zemo's priority. Just like Bucky has the super soldier serum, but he knows Bucky isn't running around doing all the things that I'm worried about super soldiers doing. So Bucky isn't on his priority list. Those other ones are. And so, no, I don't. I mean, we may get into episode 5 and find out he does go and kill Isaiah. I mean, maybe. I don't know. But I really think that is the least of his concerns right now. I think he's got bigger problems right now, and I don't think he's looking at Isaiah as being a big threat at the moment. All right. Next up. Frankie, oh, by the way, and Always Sketchy made that a $20 super chat. Thank you for supporting our channel on that level, Always Sketchy. I really appreciate that very, very much, man. Next up. Frankie writes, the Sharon intrigue continues to expand. Retasking satellites? Also, Walker is being tracked by someone. Again, I don't want to get into the whole Mephisto. He's actually Quicksilver, sort of tinfoil hat stuff. But I am not against the idea that she may be the power broker. Again, be clear. I'm not sitting here. John Campea says Sharon is the power broker. No. But I'm saying I don't think it's a crazy theory. I think before I gave it a 5% chance, I'd say 20% chance. After this latest episode, I'm all the way up to calling it a 20% chance that Sharon herself is the power broker. Now, maybe not at all. Maybe she's actually working for old man Steve still. I mean, who knows? But It's something to think about, Frankie. It's something to think about. All right, Frankie also writes, Dora Milaje could probably give especially untrained super soldiers a run for their money. I wouldn't mess with them. Listen, if I'm the Winter Soldier or the true Captain America, that's different. But you're right. If just me and somebody's got the super soldier serum, and like we're like, oh, look at us, we can lift up a car, woohoo! And like 3 Dora Milaje came walking in the bar, I'm sneaking out the back. I don't give a crap that I got super soldier serum in me. I do not give a crap. Dora Milaje walk in, I'm walking out. Now again, if you're a super trained warrior like Winter Soldier, like Cap, something like that, that might be different. Then they clearly have the advantage. But yeah, maybe I'm stronger than the Dora Milaje. I'm going to have 7 spears in me before I lay a single finger on any of them. Yeah. They walk in the bar. I'm quietly walking out the back, Frankie. I'm quietly walking out the back. All right, next up. Always Sketchy writes in again and again. Super chats in like $20. Thanks for that. It's Always Sketchy. For a Disney Plus show, this was pretty violent. It really is. Which I think bodes well for the future of Deadpool. Shows they can do something extreme without being R-rated. Any thoughts on that? Well, I mean, look. Kevin Feige has already said Deadpool, when they do get around to doing Deadpool, will definitely be rated R. If Deadpool had never been done before, they could do him PG-13 and do a lot of violent stuff and all that kind of stuff, yes. But, Kevin Feige has already kind of said, look, what Ryan Reynolds and Fox did was they set an expectation for what Deadpool is and how he acts. And that's why I said, yes, when we do Deadpool 3, it will be rated R. Because, I mean, the type of violence Deadpool does is on a different kind of level than what we're seeing in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, for instance, we didn't watch John Walker. We just had a camera on John Walker as he does this. We didn't see the blade of the shield piercing the ribs and, eviscerating the flesh of that guy on the ground as blood splatters all over the place. That's what Deadpool would do. And the cameras will be on that. So I think we can all expect a Deadpool 3 to be theatrical and then probably on Hulu as opposed to Disney Plus. So I think that's what we can expect, my friend. But we'll see, man. We will see. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Always Sketchy. Next up, Frankie writes, agree with Always Sketchy on the violence. Great writing on how to show violence without showing the violence. Yes, absolutely. Blood on the Shield was epic. Yeah. See, there's a lot of ways. Everybody always gets back. Well, if it's not rated R, it's not cool. Okay, I'm sorry. If you're that simple-minded, I don't know how to help you. Look, great storytelling doesn't need rated R, doesn't need PG-13, doesn't need any of that crap. If it's applicable, it's applicable. It's not, it's not. But you can do a lot of shocking, engaging, visceral violence if you do it the right way without it actually being rated R. Is there anybody denying how, dramatic the violence in that episode was? It was great, but it was very much PG-13. Now, again, something like Deadpool is different. They've already kind of set the pattern for what his violence is like and what his mouth is like. So there's no coming back from rated R for Deadpool. But I think you're right, man. It's a good point. What they're showing that they can do in a PG-13 environment is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. Always Sketchy writes in again, and again, submits $20. Thank you, dude. It seems like maybe Hoskins was a metaphor for Walker's conscience. When Hoskin dies, so does Walker's conscience / soul. I mean, no, listen, Battlestar was clearly an anchor for him. Whenever Walker was feeling doubt, trepidation, whatever, the very first person he turns to is Battlestar. Whether it was in the change room in episode 2, it's like, can I do this? Can I go out there? Battlestar, this is a guy he turns to. When he's feeling doubt and discouraged, dude, they weren't even super soldiers. Who's the person he confides in? It's Battlestar. When he was saying, no, to hell with it, we're doing this, when Bucky and when Bucky and Sam are trying to talk him out of doing it, no. Who was it that convinced him otherwise? Battlestar, when he says, John, they've got a point. he listens to him. This could be a very, very dangerous time for John Walker, because now not only is he suffering the major trauma of losing his best friend, the friend who he would turn to when suffering such a trauma is no longer there. He not only suffered the incredible trauma, but the guy he would lean on to support him in that trauma is not there anymore. It's a double whammy. This is a very, very dangerous time for John Walker. It's going to be absolutely pivotal, always sketchy. So anyway, well, your point is excellently made. Excellently made. All right. Next up, Nina Smile writes, best episode yet. Completely agree, Nina. My favorite moments, the opening with Bucky and Wakanda, fantastic. And the symbolism of the bloody shield at the end. What were you? Well, I mean, there were so many great moments, but you cannot, again, if Cap facing Thanos as an entire army was the image of the MCU up until Endgame, for me, the image of the MCU after Endgame is that image of that Captain America with the blood on the shield. That image is profound. That image alone tells 1,000 stories. It says so many things about where things are at right now. And again, I think a completely pivotal moment for the MCU moving forward, my friend. Completely moving forward, Nina. Thanks for writing that in. Next up, Entertain Nerd Studios writes, you can see clearly that everything is falling into place. Zemo is going to his way, and Anakin John Skywalker going to the guy, I see her saying, going to the dark side, best episode. Again, that's what I was saying a little bit earlier, right? It kind of feels like Zemo is playing everybody. They haven't shown it, but I'm just getting that feeling that he is like so many steps ahead of everybody. Like we were saying earlier, he's playing chess while everybody's playing checkers. And he's already 7 moves ahead. It's just kind of feeling that way, that this is all going exactly the way he wants it to go. He wants the world to see that these people cannot be trusted. That's what he wants. And he's getting it. And he doesn't want to fall into the hands of the Dora Milaje. All that is true at the same time. That is all true at the same time. Thanks for that, Entertain Nerd. Tyler Yeats writes, I like Zemo more than Walker. Listen, has everybody seen that meme going around? That meme where you got Walker and Zemo's like, is it weird that I trust Zemo more than I trust Walker? I mean, right? Have you seen that thing going around? That meme is kind of hilarious. I really do like that one a lot. Let's see. Next up, we've got Ryan Lohner who writes, it's becoming more obvious that Carly's lines about the power broker never use any pronouns. The evidence for Sharon is piling up. You're right. We've never heard the word he mentioned at least from Carly. We've never heard the word he. Remember, Zemo said he, but Zemo also said he never met the power broker. Never met the power broker. So, I mean, again, I am not saying, do not misquote me. I am not saying Sharon Carter is the power broker. I'm just saying I am not going to be surprised if it turns out that she is. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. All right. Well said, Ryan. Next up, Brian also writes, that ending uses the same camera angle as Steve smashing Tony's arc react. It does, actually. Yes. The big difference between him and Walker right there. Yeah. Steve could have killed Tony. He could have killed Tony. But he disabled him and then stopped and then mailed him a phone that says, listen, if you ever need me, I'm here. Walker was like, hey, man, can you do me a favor? Would you mind dying? Would you mind stopping breathing? That would be great. That would be great. If you could just stop breathing. Yeah. Cap disables Tony, then sends him a phone in the mail, says, call me if you ever need me. That's the difference between a true Captain America and whatever Walker kind of is. All right, next up, we go over to Ismelvin Vargas writes, thank you, John, for doing this so soon. The shield at the end, WTF, loved it. Dude, again, it is the image of the MCU post-Endgame. So I stayed up till midnight to watch. It came on at midnight, watched it, and then Ann went to bed. Our buddy Ryan left, and I stayed in the living room for a bit just to put on that scene again. And I paused it on that image standing there with the blood on the shield. So freaking powerful, man. So freaking powerful. Anyway, let's move on here. Next up, Anthony MR writes, I'm not condoning Walker's actions, but we all have/had that best friends that means the world to us and always kept us level-headed, so I understand. Again, do not forget that. Not just that he just held his dead best friend in his hands, and it's those people's fault. And those people just happen to be terrorists that are blowing up buildings with civilians in them. And I guarantee you, in Walker's mind, he is feeling completely justified. And it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against that. But yeah, right now, that's why as Walker looks around and he sees everybody with their cell phones filming him, he doesn't look, oh no, what did I just do? He didn't look, oh no, people saw me do that. Oh no. He didn't do that. He looked proud, defiant, because I bet he thinks what he did was the right thing. And I think, again, like many of you guys have pointed out, it's probably something a lot of us would have done, Anthony. I don't think you're wrong about that at all. All right. Next up, James Argento writes, do you think Walker is suffering from PTSD from Afghanistan? Maybe. It might help if he talks to a counselor like Sam. Will Walker end show as anti-hero or evil? I personally think, although I'm not willing to put money on this, I think he ends the show dead. I think he ends the show dead. And I even think there's a possibility here he dies heroically. And again, let me emphasize, there's a difference between dying a hero and dying heroically. I don't think he dies a hero, but I do think there's a chance here he dies heroically. So we'll see there. So that's how I think he ends up. I think he ends up dead. We'll find out if I'm right or wrong. Again, I'm not really invested in it either way, but we'll see. All right, Lucky Dragon writes, I was expecting John Walker to go full psychopath, but it was still surprising when it happened. Yeah. But also, again, it wasn't just, I'm mad. There was pain and emotion. And even though he looked completely proud and defiant when it was done, as he was doing it, you could see that pain. You could see that anguish. And I thought they played that really well, Lucky Dragon. I thought they played it really well. James Hoffman writes, fantastic episode. Yes, it was. Tense with great dialogue and great action. What a WTF moment at the end. That imagery of blood on Cap's shield was so powerful. And you know what? It's going to be an image we're going to be talking about for weeks. I don't know what the final 2 episodes hold for us, guys. I don't know for sure what the final 2 episodes hold. But I do think that whenever we, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, when we talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier, the series, I think that is going to be the image that comes to our mind. I don't think it's going to be an image of Sam soaring in the sky as Falcon. I don't think it's going to be Bucky punching a guy with his vibranium arm. I think for years to come, depending on what happens in the final 2 episodes, when we think of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think we're going to think of that image. That is a powerful, powerful image, man. All right, anyway, thanks for that, James. Next up, we've got James Hoffman, who writes, what do you think Steve Rogers would think about Walker? Oh, he's completely incompetent. He would think he's completely unworthy. I think it would break his heart. Absolutely. I hope we get a Steve cameo just to get this perspective. Again, I still look, there's no insider information here. I've heard no news reports of this. I am strictly, as a fan, speculating. I suspect we will see Old Man Steve. Even if it's just for a moment, I think we will. Again, no insider information. I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm just saying I kind of think we're going to see him. We'll find out soon whether we do or not. There's only 2 freaking episodes left after all. All right, next up. Gabe Campbell writes, wow, John Walker with the bloody shield is an all-time favorite MCU moment. Wyatt Russell is absolutely killing it. Guys, can we talk for a second? Can we talk for a second about Wyatt Russell? Listen, we all made fun of how stupid his face looked inside the Captain America mask when he first showed up, right? At the end of episode 1, he looked like the old man Carl from Up with the Captain America mask on. That's exactly what he looked like. And we started calling him Walmart Cap, and for good reason. Wyatt Russell's performance as this character has made me adore having this character in this show. Obviously, I hate the character, but I love the character being in this show. And for a big reason, Wyatt Russell's performance is a absolute, it's a revelation. I think he's done a great job playing this character. I thought this episode really showed off his range. So yeah, man, I think, I think it was great. I think he's been fantastic. And I don't know how many episodes he has left, because I think he's going to die, but I don't know that. We'll see. We'll see where they go, man. But yes, we got to give a lot of praise to Wyatt Russell for what he's doing here. All right, Tyler Pfeiffer writes, 1 of 2. Really sympathize with Walker. It's a big deal following in Steve's footsteps, absolutely. And not having an enhanced body makes it even more difficult. The second episode is even better now, as it makes Walker's slow heel turn really sad. I think this would break Steve's heart. I hope Walker is redeemed. And again, it's why I said earlier, when we watched him killing the guy, I was horrified and my heart broke for him. My heart broke for him. Here's a man, and that's all he is. He's just a man, put into an incredible pressure-filled situation. You are expected to be the new Captain America. And all you know is how to fight. And it doesn't go the way you were hoping it would go. And then you got to fight these Wakandans who beat your ass, these Dora Milaje, and they weren't even super soldiers. And then you lose your best friend, and you've taken this serum, and you don't know what it's going to do to you. And it's so, knowing all of that, my heart was breaking for him because of his loss, but also because you see him crossing a line he can't come back from. And that, again, I said it before, I'll say it again, I'll probably repeat it a few more times today. That is a sign of excellent storytelling. When a character's actions can make you feel all of that at once, that's some excellent storytelling. And that's why I thought this was the best episode of the series so far. All right, thanks a lot for that, Tyler. Appreciate it. Next up, Juno Faulkner writes, 1 of 2. Excellent episode. Completely agree. Probably the best one yet. I didn't think my theories would pan out this quickly, though. Also, the last shot of Captain America holding the bloody shield was extremely powerful to me, and the best example yet of the difference between Walker and Steve. Yeah, it really does. It is a perfect visual example of the difference. As far as predictions, I mean, look, everybody knew, unless they did something unexpected, everybody knew John Walker is U.S. agent. It's something's going to go wrong there. Everybody knew that. But really, so far, we haven't had a chance to see if any of our real predictions have come true or not. To me, the biggest question in this thing is still, here are the biggest questions that remain. And none of the big questions have been answered yet. Here are the big questions. Ultimately, who has the shield at the end? Does Sam try to take up the mantle of Captain America? I hope he doesn't, but it's possible that they do. And who is the power broker? To me, these are the 3 defining questions that have to be answered. Everything else have been minor little details. Oh, predict this, predict that, whatever. To me, those are the only true, real questions that we have. And the ones that I am most interested in finding out how those things do. But again, Juno, that final imagery as really a really does juxtaposition about what is the real Captain America, what is Steve Rogers versus what is anybody else who tries to be Steve Rogers. That's why, to me, Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America. And I think this has been a great example of that. Anyway, thanks for writing that in, Juno. Next up, Tyler writes, this won't happen given Feige's Fantastic 4 or 5-year plan, but it would be cool if Victor Von Doom was the power broker. No, that's totally not in line with Von Doom's character at all. I don't think that would make any sense at all, to be honest with you. That is not something Victor Von Doom would be doing. I don't think he sees himself as a low-level crime lord in a place like Madripoor. Like, I don't know. I don't see that. Maybe yes, maybe no, but I don't see it. Marcus Y in the live chats puts it best. Is that sort of thing would be beneath Doom. That would be beneath Dr. Doom. So I don't think it would do that. Okay. Next up. Where are we? Daniel Luna sends in like a $20 super chat. Thank you, man, for supporting our channel on that level. One of two. My theorizing has led to Sharon being the power broker. I'm not going to argue against that, my friend. Episode 4, she told Sam, Bucky, and Zemo they were on borrowed time. This episode, the power broker texted the Flag Smashers that they were also on borrowed time. I didn't notice that. Did they use the same terminology? That one went right over my guys in the live chat. Was the phrase borrowed time used for both of them? Because if it was, that might be the biggest little clue so far. I mean, hey, it's just a phrase. Other people have used the phrase, right? Other people have used the phrase borrowed time, but that would be very interesting if that were the case. I tell you what, Dane, I'm going to keep my eye open for that. Anyway, let's move on to part 2 of your question. I know it probably doesn't mean anything, but it's just something I caught. And it's a good catch, Daniel. It's a good catch. Great episode, though. Bloody Shield. Never thought I'd see that. Yeah. And by the way, a lot of people in the live chat like Lily, Marianne, John Chung, Jessica, Tiffany O, Lisa are all saying that, yes, that is exactly what was said. Now, why did I just sound like the Chamberlain from Dark Crystal? Is Sharon the power broker? Really? I mean, I suspected there's a chance. I've been talking about this all the time, but could she be? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Still a little torn on that, Daniel. But that is a great catch, Daniel. Very, very good catch. Maybe it means something. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. But it certainly gives us something to speculate about. Well done, Daniel. Nice catch. All right, next up. Elif writes, I loved this episode. Me too, man. The last scene, Walker holding the shield covered in blood, very powerful. And again, that's a common theme for all of us here today. Such an iconic image. And again, Elif, I believe when we talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier for years to come, we're going to be thinking about that image. Elif also writes, what do you think the U.S. government's response to Walker's actions? Will they make him give up the shield or will he give it up willingly? I am almost willing to bet they're going to do no such thing. Like I said a little bit earlier, I think their response is going to be, hey, he killed a terrorist. Terrorists who bombed buildings and murdered civilians and just murdered his partner and a U.S. agent in Battlestar. So he got him and took him out. That's what we do to terrorists. I have a feeling they're going to back him. I think they're going to back him, and that's going to embolden him even more. Now, I don't know. Maybe episode 5 starts with them taking the shield away from him. I don't know. But I have a feeling the government is going to back him on that. So, but we'll see. We'll see how they do that. All right, next up. Elif also writes, Sam answered no to the question on whether he would take the super soldier serum. Maybe he felt he didn't need it. He can fight when necessary, but he can also talk to people. He tried to talk to Carly first. I think that is part of it. Because at his heart, he's a diplomat, really, at his heart. He's a healer. He's a counselor at his core. He's a counselor deep at his core. But I also think within Sam is an awareness of what we were talking about before, about people should not take the super soldier serum. Because Steve Rogers is a one, not in a million, he's a one in the world. The man, Steve Rogers, is a one in the world. It's like Gandalf this is how I kind of saw it. When they asked Sam, would you take the super soldier serum? Sam saying no, to me reminded me of when Frodo tried to say to Gandalf, here, you take the ring. And Gandalf was like, no, do not tempt me, Frodo. Understand, I would take the ring with the intention to do good. But through me, the ring would unleash terrible evil, or whatever the exact words are, right? So I kind of saw that a little bit at play of like Sam realizing, listen, none of us are Steve Rogers. And I would not take the super soldier serum because I think it would change me. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw. That's what I thought at any rate. Okay. How did you like my Gandalf? How'd you like my Ian McKellen Gandalf? Actually, now that I hear myself doing it, it's really rather terrible. I should never do that impersonation again. Okay, next up. We go up to Fanimator, who writes, "Oh my God, what an episode. John Walker is going crazy now. Also, time to discuss power broker possibilities in the Campea classroom." Well, okay, let's do that. Let's do that for a second. Let's open up the Campea classroom on this for a second. And go through some of the possibilities. What is possible? Who is possible for power broker? Well, obviously one we've been talking about here, Sharon Carter. I mean, they seem to be making it obvious, which is making you think clearly it's not going to be all this kind of, I mean, I don't know what has happened to her. Listen, some people would say, oh, she would never be a villain. Hey, guess what? The Sharon Carter we knew in Winter Soldier, that Sharon Carter would never become an illegal arts dealer, right? Would never become an illegal art dealer living in Madripoor. So, I mean, there is a possibility there that maybe she herself is the power broker. Who are the other options? Well, I think a really good possibility here is I have no fucking idea. I mean, seriously, I have no idea. Campea classroom, ladies and gentlemen. Campea class, there's right over there. Campea classroom. I don't know. I don't know. It's not like they have been presenting us with a lot of options. They haven't been presenting us with a lot of options about who else it could be. We haven't had a lot of other characters. Now, obviously, Mephisto, Quicksilver, let's see, Nightmare, could be it, the Engineer, could be it, Wanda, got the book, got the Darkhold and decided to go out. I mean, but seriously, I don't know. Oh, who was it? Spirit Man, that's Ralph Bonner is, or as they mispronounced it, Boner, but honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know who it could actually be other than Sharon Carter. Now, I'm seeing a bunch of other people saying Thunderbolt Ross. I don't buy that at all. I do not buy the Thunderbolt Ross thing because Thunderbolt Ross is a patriot and a hero. And by the way, he's like the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State. He can't be living in Madripoor running the whole country and all that kind of stuff while having that role. So I don't believe that's actually a possibility. It's just that they're not really giving us many other options here other than Sharon. So I don't know. I mean, look, okay, this might sound silly. Could it be Erskine? Who died in the first Captain America, the first Avenger, the scientist who created the thing? I mean, highly, highly, highly unlikely, but is that an option? I mean, I don't know, but really they have not given us many legitimate options about who could it be. So, but honestly, the real option here is this. The real third option is, a legacy MCU character. So it is possible it could be a character from another MCU movie that maybe one from 8 years ago or whatever that we haven't thought about since or whatever, and maybe that's part of it. I mean, hell, why not Mandarin? Maybe Mandarin. If they want to start setting things up for Shang-Chi, maybe Mandarin is the power broker. I mean, possible, I suppose. I don't know. But right now, while it's not necessarily Sharon Carter, at this moment, Sharon Carter is really the only viable possibility on the table other than an out of left field legacy MCU character that we just didn't see coming. Right? Because I don't think it's any of the characters we've seen in the show. I don't think it's any of the characters we've seen in the show so far. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where we go with it. All right. Thank you for that, man. Let's jump back over now here and move on. Next up, we got Benjamin GL who writes, cancel, #cancel John Walker. There you go, Benjamin. Next up, Hank Jones writes, yo, the Wakandans were going to straight up kill Walker and Battlestar. No, they could have killed them. I mean, remember, they had them both at their mercy by the end. They could have killed Battlestar and Walker if they wanted to. But that's not what they were there to do. You know, Battlestar and Walker were not their enemies, but they were obstacles. Like to the Dora Milaje in that scene, Battlestar and Cap were not their enemies, but they were obstacles. Just like Bucky is not their enemy. Bucky has a certain loyalty to Wakanda. But in that moment, they were obstacles. And as AO said in Civil War, move or be moved, right? Walker, Bucky, Battlestar weren't moving. So guess what the Dora Milaje did? They moved them. And yeah, so it's, damn, the Dora Milaje, man. Dear God, the Dora Milaje. Okay, next up. We've got Casey McNatt who writes, 1 of 3. Overall, I thought the episode was probably the best one yet. That ending really shocked me, yeah. Now that John Walker is a super soldier, do you think Zemo will go after him? Absolutely. He probably thought his job was done and he destroyed all the serum, but now he has another super soldier to deal with. Something I don't get. I don't know what Sharon was even tracking. Was she tracking John Walker, the Flag Smashers, or the serum? Well, I believe, okay, let's go back. We'll start with the Zemo thing. Zemo's job isn't done. Yeah, he got rid of the super soldier serum, but now he's got to get rid of the super soldiers, particularly the ones that are problematic to him. He's not worried about Bucky. He doesn't seem to have a problem with Bucky because I think he sees Bucky as not becoming what he fears all the super soldiers will become. So I don't know that he sees Bucky as a problem, but he is not done until he takes out Carly and the rest of her group. But I think you're right. I think now John Walker is in Zemo's crosshairs. I think Walker is the pure representation of what Zemo sees goes wrong when somebody has the super soldier serum. John Walker is the poster child of Zemo's biggest nightmares of human beings taking the super soldier serum. So yeah, I do believe Walker is going to be in his crosshairs. Hell, Zemo might even be the one that kills Walker. Now, as far as the thing about how is she tracking? Well, she said, hello, John Walker. So it sounded like she was tracking John Walker. The question becomes, how was she tracking John Walker? Was she tracking vibranium? I mean, I suppose that's a possibility. Was she tracking vibranium? Maybe her satellites were able to, and if she's not the power broker, how does she have vibranium? Again, I don't want to go back in that discussion again, but yeah, I think she was tracking the shield, and she was definitely tracking Walker because she said so, but I think it's probably the shield that was able to detect vibranium. It's such a unique metal. Maybe that's the thing, but I don't know. We'll find out. We only got 2 episodes left, KC, just 2 episodes left. All right. Epic Dub Time 23 writes, absolutely loved the episode. Me too, my friend. The ending really caught me off guard. I have a feeling Walker already injected himself. Oh, no. He clearly did. He clearly did. It was very noticeable when he landed on the car. Chances he gives up the mantle. Oh, no, he ain't going to give it up. He believes now more than listen, I think John Walker now thinks now more than ever, he now really is Captain America. He's got the super soldier serum. He just took out a terrorist. I think in John Walker's eyes, he totally now truly sees himself as Captain America. Which the irony is, now all of us truly see that he really isn't. We all recognize he really ain't Captain America. He is really not Captain America. But I think the funny thing is he now sees himself as Captain America now more than ever before. So I don't think he's going to give it up, Epic. I do not think he's going to give it up, not even a little bit. At this point, I think he is now going to be even more emboldened. I think the government is going to back his play, saying that was a terrorist he killed. And now I think him and Bucky and Sam are really going to be in conflict. I think that's really going to become horrible now. I'm really curious to know, where did Zemo go? So we'll find that out a little bit later, I'm sure. All right, next up. Evelyn writes, the Dora Milaje are so badass, great fight. Listen, the Dora Milaje are not to be messed with. They are not to be messed with. Dear heavens. They walk into a room with the new Captain America, Battlestar, Bucky, Sam, and they just take care of business. And even the Winter Soldier wants to get involved. Arm off. Done. I hope she can't do that to your dick. Anyway, yeah, I'm telling you, if I'm a super soldier and the Dora Milaje walk into the bar, I am walking out the back door. It's just that simple. All right, Tyler Yeats writes, do you think Bucky and Sam team up with Carly to stop Walker? No. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that her cause is righteous. Carly is murdering innocent people. She's murdering civilians. She's blowing up buildings. She threatened Sam's sister and nephews. No, I don't think they team up with Carly. I really don't. Now, they could. I'm not saying take it to the bank. They're not going to. But if you're asking me my opinion, I think that phone call she made to Sam's sister killed any possibility of that. Now, I could be very, very wrong about that. I could be super, super wrong about that. But that's why, like I was saying earlier, when Sam went to go meet her after her call to Sam's sister, he didn't show up in his blue jeans and his casual jacket to talk to her as Sam. He went as Falcon. And it's, we'll see where good things are. And by the way, I think Carly's now going to escalate. Carly just watched someone she loves murdered, killed. So I think this is going to escalate now. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. Purple Queen just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Purple Queen. Iconic reactions. Connor Smith. I need some old school in my life. Oh, these are super chats from the John Campea Show a little bit earlier. All right. We move forward now to Evelyn, who writes, do you think Zemo will end up lock up in Wakanda? Yes. Because it feels like Bucky could be the one to hand him over to the Dora Milaje as a way to make it up to them. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I think you know what is possible? Even though Zemo seems like he's like 7 steps ahead, here's a possibility. Zemo actually does prove himself useful and helps Sam and Bucky reach their goals by the end of the series. As a way to reward him, they turn him over safely, but they make Io swear they're not going to kill him. Io says, fine, we'll just imprison him. And then he gives them Zemo. Maybe. I can't put a percentage on that right now, but it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. All right, guys, listen. We've been going for an hour and a half now, so I'm going to get up, stretch my legs, give my voice a little bit of a rest for a couple of minutes, give you guys a chance to run, use the bathroom, grab something to eat, grab something to drink. So hang on tight, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We will be, after this short little break, we will be right back. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you for your patience as I took a little bit of a break there. We still got about an hour to go here, maybe about 50 minutes still to go. So let's get through as many of these questions as we can. And listen, guys, just so you know, if we don't get through all the questions here today before we wrap up, I'm going to do a companion video to this one, to this spoiler discussion that'll go up probably on Sunday. It'll go up. So if we don't get to a question you send in by the time we wrap up, don't worry, we're going to put up a secondary video to this probably on Saturday or Sunday to get all the remaining questions answered. So feel free to keep on sending in questions if you like, because we are going to get through as many as we can, and then we'll do more on the weekend. Okay, with that said, let's get back to your questions, guys. We're going to pick things up here with Ismael Montoya, who writes, where'd we go? There it is, 1 of 2. Do you think Zemo finally escaped because he took a SSS? Oh, super soldier serum. Taking a super soldier serum would be an only way to destroy the other super soldiers. No, I don't think he did. I think that's totally against his ideology. Also, how did Walmart Cap not show a reaction to the super soldier serum? Everyone else feels fire in their veins. Well, I mean, okay, first of all, with Zemo, that is completely against his ideology, right? It's totally against his ideology. And so they showed that, like when he looked down at all the super soldier serum stuff on the floor, his first thought was not even tempted to take it. Smash that stuff. And he, of course, then smashed it. As far as John Walker, he took the super soldier. We didn't see him take it, right? We don't know how much time passed between when he had that conversation with Battlestar and then when him and Battlestar showed up at the warehouse to go and engage Carly and the Flag Smashers. So he probably did go through a very, very painful process there. But whether that painful process took a half hour or took 2 hours, we just aren't told what that time period was. So yeah, I'm thinking he did have to go through that process. I'm thinking that he did. All right, thanks for sending that in, Ismail. All right, next up, we got Evelyn, who writes, was it a mistake to use footage in the promos of Bucky and Sam training with the Shield? They spent most of the show without it. No, I don't think so, because guess what? It's Marvel. That footage may not even be in the show. Do we forget, like Infinity War, when they showed that scene of Hulk running alongside of everybody in Wakanda? That scene's not even the movie. So it could be that those shots they showed us of Falcon and Bucky throwing the shield around, I'm not saying it's not in the show. I'm just saying it is possible that it's just possible that maybe it's not even in the show at all. It might be a little bit of a misdirect. So I wouldn't read too much into it, Evelyn. Maybe it turns out being something, maybe it doesn't, but I wouldn't read too much into it quite yet. All right, Extreme Nation writes, hey, John, I've really been enjoying this show. Me too. I mean, not as much as I haven't loved it so far until this new episode. I haven't liked it quite as much as WandaVision, but this new episode, man, really elevated it. I've really been enjoying this show. Can we talk about that ending? Also, is it just me or is Sharon a plot device? LOL. She's still great, though. Oh, I think there is so much more to Sharon than they're letting us see right now. I really do. I think there is so much more to Sharon than they're letting us see. But how much more? That I don't know yet. That I do not know yet. But I think, again, I still think there is a possibility that she is the power broker. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Don't know. I'm not really willing to invest in that theory yet. I'm just saying I think there is a possibility. But yeah, that ending, dude. Again, I think that is going to be the single image we think about when we talk about moving forward, Extreme Nation. What we think about when we think about this show. All right, Evelyn writes, the scene in Wakanda of Bucky and Io was amazing. It was fantastic. As soon as it says Wakanda 6 years ago and you hear that drum, I'm like, oh my God, we're in Wakanda. That was such a good scene. All right, next up, A-Train A writes, Sam better not let Carly free boo the, what are we saying? Sam better not let Carly free boo the end of the show. Oh, are you saying Sam better not let Carly go free by the end of the show? She tied soldiers up to intentionally murder them. Someone has to pay for that. Oh, and listen, she also threatened Sam's sister and nephew. At that point, she crossed the line with Sam. At that point, she crossed the line with Sam. No, Carly can't get a pass. Stealing supplies and all this kind of stuff, that's one thing. But like blowing up buildings, murdering civilians, murdering innocents, there's no getting around that. Like she doesn't get a pass in this. She probably doesn't get killed. She probably ends, unless Power Broker kills her. I don't know, but we'll see. What if we find out Sharon Carter had the super soldier serum? Remember we saw her beat the crap out of all those guys? What if part of that's because she has super soldier serum? Again, I'm just theorizing. All right. Next up, PR writes, I love that John Walker went through with the specific kill move that Steve chose not to use on Tony in Civil War. It was very symbolic, showing the difference between them. You're right. It's visual juxtapositioning, right? It's visual juxtapositioning. And not only the motion of what he was doing, but then the standing and posing afterwards, as one of our other viewers pointed out a little bit earlier. There is so much richness and meaning wrapped up just in that imagery of both the action and the standing result. There's so much in their PR. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It was very, very, very symbolic, and I think you nailed that. All right, next up. Marie Seifring writes, who tips in like $20. Thank you, Marie. Appreciate that. It is interesting between iPhone shots of Bucky acting like the Winter Soldier during the staged bar fight in Madripoor, Carly blowing up hostages, and now John Walker caught on camera beating somebody to death with Cap's shield. More of the public will start agreeing with Zemo that no superheroes can really be trusted. Zemo as a counter movement leader. Listen, again, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, Marie, that it just feels like Zemo is way ahead of the game. Think about it. Yeah, he was able to deduce for them where the scientist was that recreated the super soldier serum, but it was all for his own purposes. He wanted that guy dead. He doesn't want the guy who is capable of recreating the super soldier serum to still be breathing. So he was ahead of Bucky, and he was ahead of Sam. And now all this stuff is going on, and I cannot help but wonder if this is really, did Zemo purposefully let one vial of super soldier serum not fall under his boot? Was that purposeful? Did he plan on letting John Walker find it, knowing he would take it and become a living example about why all super soldiers cannot be allowed to live? Maybe. I know he still wants to finish off Carly. He wants her dead, that's for sure. Nearly killed her. So yeah, man. I think you're absolutely right, Marie. I think we are going to find out at some point in the next 2 episodes just how far ahead of everybody else Zemo really is. And maybe it'll be for something really nefarious. Maybe it won't be for anything too terribly. Maybe it'll just be all about his primary agenda, which is there should be no super soldiers. Maybe it really is just all that, or maybe it's for something more nefarious. We will find out as we move forward, Marie. So yes, you're right. This could all be orchestrated. He could be seen as the leader of a countercultural movement. We'll see how this all kind of ends up. All right, next up. Epic Dub Time 23 writes, I found it extremely poetic that the Flag Smasher guy was a huge Cap fan. You know what? I didn't even think about that. You're right. As a kid, and ended up being killed by his shield. You know what, Epic? I didn't even think about that. You're right. I totally forgot about that conversation that him and Carly were having, and he was so inspired by Captain America and by the shield, and then Carly talking about the shield should just be destroyed, and in the end he ended up being killed by that very shield. Dude, that's an excellent observation. I didn't even think about that. That's really sad. That's really sad. Damn, man, that's a good point. Well said. This episode was so good. So good. Anyway, well said, Epic Dub Time. Well said. All right, next up, we got Gavin Lothar, who writes, if Wolverine or Punisher did what Walker did, we'd kind of cheer, yes. But because he wears the Cap mantle, it's horrifying. Yeah. Yes, in both cases. Because Cap isn't Wolverine. And Cap isn't Punisher. Yes, we fully expect Wolverine comes across a bunch of terrorists and they kill Jubilee. They kill or Rogue or his best friend, whatever. Oh, you bet there are going to be some adamantium claws piercing lungs and hearts. Absolutely. But that's not Captain America or what Captain America is supposed to be. It's not Steve Rogers. And anybody trying to pretend to carry on that legacy of Steve Rogers just has to behave differently. And anyway, but hey, let's also not forget in Captain America, the First Avenger, they showed Cap with his troop, invading Hydra bases with his guns out, and he's shooting people. Even Steve Rogers was. Now you can make the argument, yes, but that was in war. Yeah, that argument can be made too. But still, it's interesting to think about. Well said, Gavin. All right, next up, Cam K writes, "Hey, one more, John. I'm wondering if they are intentionally trying to go somewhere with the Spider-Man is evil, Wanda is evil, Captain America is evil trend." Well, I don't think so. Remember, Spider-Man isn't evil. There was just a villain try to make it look like it for a second. John Walker is clearly a different thing. So I don't think these are similar situations. I don't think they're doing that, Cam. At least I don't think so. Maybe they are. Maybe we'll find out later that they are. Personally, I don't think so. I think those are two very, very different situations. All right, next up. Extreme Nation writes, Walmart Cap went full Homelander at the end. He totally did. I think if he had laser vision, he probably would have killed all those people with their phones too. I think he probably would have, Extreme Nation. All right. A-Train A writes, Dora really whooped them all like with no effort. It's true. The Dora Milaje are not to be trifled with, and they don't need no super soldier serum. They are simply not to be messed with. And yeah, good for you, John Walker. You got a vibranium shield. Guess what? Everything the Dora Milaje carry is vibranium, because Wakanda has all the vibranium. So you're right. Yeah, she really whooped them. That was really fun to watch. All right, next up. Dragon 10 writes, this is the first time since WandaVision that I'm hyped for the next episode. You know what? I concur. Like, again, I have enjoyed the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the first 3 episodes. I have enjoyed them. But I haven't had, and I was very big on seeing Io pop up at the end of last episode, yes, but I haven't had an episode end yet where I go, oh my God, is it next week yet? Oh my God, I got to see the next episode. This episode did that. When this episode ended with Walker standing there with the bloodstained shield, I was like bouncing in my seat. I'm like, oh my God, please time go faster. Please time go faster. We need the next episode of this. And it's the first time I really felt that in this series so far. And that's a really good testament to it, Dragon 10. That's a great testament to it. Dragon 10 also writes, also incredible performance by Sebastian Stan. Listen, let me tell you what. We talked a little bit earlier about Wyatt Russell, and he's been great. Let's just talk about everybody has been great. Daniel Bruhl, who is a world-class actor, has been great. Bucky, Sebastian Stan, has been great. Sam, played by Anthony Mackie, has been great. They have all been really, really wonderful in everything. And again, this was my favorite performance of Anthony Mackie as Sam ever in the MCU. I feel like this is the episode where his character really got to be showcased. This was the first time, even out of the other episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I feel like this is the one that we really got to know Sam Wilson. And I loved it, and the performances across the board have been absolutely fantastic, Dragon 10. Well said. All right, next up. Moral Bama writes, greetings from the Netherlands. My favorite moment was the beginning scene with Io and Bucky. I never thought I would see him cry like that. And of course, I love that Io kicked Fake Cap's ass. Listen, that opening again, when you see the landscape of Wakanda and you hear the drum, that Wakandan kind of drum music, you're like, oh my God, we're in Wakanda. And then it says 6 years ago. It's like, oh, and then they show history between Io and Bucky. It was just it was the perfect way to start that episode, right? Like when you consider the way the last episode ended with Bucky and Io confronting each other in the street, the perfect way to start off the next episode is 6 years ago in Wakanda. Show their connection and then carry on with that story. And it was a perfect way to do it, Moral. It was a perfect way to do it. And you're right. On top of all that, not only did it give us a bit of a glimpse into what happened 6 years ago, how do we get here, what's the connection between Io and Bucky and all that kind of stuff, yeah. But it also gave us a new look at Bucky that we hadn't seen before. Like him just straight up weeping after all the decades and decades, in a century almost, of being enslaved to whatever it was that they programmed into his head. He was, for the first time in almost 100 years, now free. And that moment overwhelmed him and moved him. And I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful scene the way they did that. I concur, man. That was a great, great moment. Well said. All right, next up. Timothy Platt writes, ominous music at the end of the episode, me. Get him, new Cap. F those suckers up. Unless he does something extremely heinous in the last 2 episodes, I'm totally new Team Cap. And again, listen, I get it. And this is why I think the government is going to back him, and why maybe even some people in the public are going to back him. He just killed a terrorist who just so happened to just kill his best friend. Or at least was part of the group that killed his best friend. So I get it. But it's only the people who really knew Cap, the real Cap, that understand what a deviation this guy is from Steve Rogers. And understanding this guy is not capable of handling the super soldier serum. And I think we're going to see it erode him. And maybe at again, I keep saying I think we're going to see him die heroically. I think we're going to see him become a bigger and bigger dick, and then something will present itself, and he's still believing himself the hero. He's going to do something heroic and maybe even die doing it. Again, I'm just speculating. I'm pulling this out of my ass. I don't know for sure, Timothy, but I think the sentiments you're expressing here are not unique to you alone. I think there are going to be other people that have that sentiment as well. And like I said, a lot of people I saw online and on Twitter, a lot of people saying after the end of the episode, man, so is the government going to go after him now? They're going to take the shield from him? And I'm like, I think the government is going to back him. He killed a terrorist that had just killed one of his men that happened to be his best friend. I think they're going to back him. And I think that's going to embolden him even more. So we'll see where they go with that. All right, Purple Queen writes. Oh, wait, so where are we at here? Purple Queen writes. Another great episode. That ending with Walmart Cap going full psycho was scary. Did he take the serum? Oh yeah, he clearly took the serum. And is Lamar dead? Yeah, Lamar is clearly dead. Battlestar is dead. So unless nothing, he was dead. But they made it very clear and obvious that he took the serum. I mean, in the fight, you could see he took the serum. Him jumping down 8 stories, however long it was, he took the serum. His ability to take out and kill a flag smasher who has the super soldier serum in him clearly shows that he has the super soldier serum. Things have taken a dark turn, man. Dark, dark turn. We'll see where they go from here. All right, next up, we got Samuel Shin writes, sends in like a $20 super chat. Thanks for supporting the channel on that level, Samuel. All right. I grow tired when the MCU relies on their formulaic humor, so I savor these kinds of storytelling from them. Love how the show isn't compromising the death, blood, and violence. I feel that we wouldn't see this on the big screen. Oh, I do think they would. I think they would. Look, the MCU, like anything else, it transitions, it evolves, it does new things, and it does other new things. And, you know, it embraces different types of stuff. And if anything, I'm more surprised they're doing this stuff on Disney Plus than in a movie theater. I would think it would be more likely that they'd be starting to explore this stuff in the movie theater than on Disney Plus. Hey, all the kids are at home. Let's turn on Disney Plus, kiddies. You know, I feel a little bit more surprised to do that. And by the way, I think the MCU's humor is awesome. I always laugh my ass off at the MCU's humor. I think they do a great job. I know some people say, oh man, their formula. I don't find their humor formulaic at all. I find their humor very, very funny and entertaining and engages, and it gets me right into the story. But it also sets up that when they juke and go in a different direction, it makes it all the more impactful. And so I think that's part of the thing that makes it so crisp and so effective when they do stuff like this. And this whole turn by John Walker is going to become a big issue, man. I think it's going to become a big, big issue, Samuel. All right, man. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Appreciate that, man. All right, next up, we got The Last Shady Walking Marvel writes. Wow, this episode was crazy. Dora Milaje, crazy. John Walker, Bucky opening scene. Battlestar dead, Zemo escaping. Battlestar dead, Zemo escaping. Guys, punctuation, commas are our friends. Battlestar dead, Zemo escaping, and that ending. Favorite episode so far. I 1,000% agree with you. This was, again, I said this a little bit earlier near the beginning of the stream today. Not only was it the best episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier so far, it might be the best episode of anything on Disney Plus so far. Out of all the episodes of Mandalorian Season 1, Mandalorian Season 2, WandaVision, now this might be, I mean, maybe if you ask me about a few weeks from now, I might say something different, but this might have been the best single episode of all the Disney Plus shows so far. It was so well done. It was so well done. It really left me breathless and speechless and buzzing, and I just couldn't believe it. All right, let's move on here. Next up, Marie Seifring writes, how likely is it that John Walker is declared an outlaw and is recruited by someone like the power broker? Thanks. Again, I get it. There are a lot of people wondering that sort of thing, but I actually think the opposite is what's going to happen. I think you could tell John Walker felt totally justified. I think the government is going to back him on his play. After all, what did he just do? He took out a terrorist. So I think they're going to back him, and them backing him is only going to embolden him more to even act more recklessly. I think this is the beginning of a spiral. I think this is the beginning of a spiral. Now, I could be totally wrong about that. Maybe the next episode starts with American soldiers coming to arrest John Walker and take the shield away from him. I don't know. But my feeling is, my totally baseless speculation as a fan is that they're going to back him, and that's going to embolden him more, and it's going to make things get more out of hand. So I don't know for sure, Marie, but we'll find out soon enough. We'll find out soon enough. All right. Fang Blaze writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Fan Blaze. Now all I can think about is Sam constantly doing the arm trick with Bucky and running off with it. I don't think Sam saw how it's done. Remember, even Bucky didn't even know his arm could do that. But it would be funny if at the end of the series, it's episode 6, it's at the end, Sam and Bucky are now hanging out, having a couple of beers together in a bar, and whatever, they're playing darts, and they say, all right, whoever hits the next bullseye gets to keep the shield. And just as Bucky's about to show it, Sam goes, and his arm falls off. There you go. I just wrote the ending of Falcon and Winter Soldier for you, Disney. You're welcome. All right, next up. Fangblaze writes, everyone freaks out about new Cap killing, but forgets the Avengers have killed countless Hydra agents and other kinds of bad guys. Yeah, it's true. No, it's true. But there is something very different about the image of a guy laying helplessly on the ground who is now clearly defeated and taking the symbol of Captain America and everything it's supposed to represent and straight up murdering the guy. Like, yeah, even Cap, the real Cap, even Steve Rogers, back in Captain America, the First Avenger, he's, in the World War, he's breaking in, shooting Hydra, like taking out, like, yeah, but that's war. This was a defeated guy in the city street, surrounded by spectators, and just straight up deciding, I am going to kill you. I mean, I've got you captured. You're helpless right now. I've got you, but I'm going to execute you. And he does that. If it was Wolverine, we wouldn't blink. If it was Deadpool, we wouldn't blink. If it was Hulk, we wouldn't blink. If it was a lot of guys, we wouldn't blink. But the guy's carrying the shield, and he's wearing Cap's uniform. And it was just a very stark moment. It was a very stark moment. So I don't know. It's really interesting to see what the ramifications of this are going to be, Fanblaze. All right, next up. Steph S. writes, guy that got taken out by Walmart Cap was the Cap. Somebody else brought that up a little bit earlier, and I had totally forgotten about that, and that makes that even more tragic. The guy he murdered with Cap's shield is a guy who grew up idolizing and loving Captain America, only to be killed by Walmart Captain America. It really does make that tragic. It really does make it especially tragic. All right, next up. Dave Atkins writes, poor Battlestar, actor playing him gave a great performance. He really did, and made him really likable in the limited time we got him, like how he backed up Sam earlier. Again, this is the extra tragedy of it. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, Dave, is that not only was Battlestar John Walker's best friend, he was John Walker's anchor. He was the one who kept him centered. Now, Walker's best friend just died, and he happened to be the guy that would keep him anchored in the midst of a tragedy like that, and he no longer has his anchor. Like if something else tragic had happened, the guy he would be turning to, that Walker would be turning to be his anchor, to be his support, to keep his head above water would be Battlestar. But now he's lost Battlestar, had him die in front of his eyes, and he no longer has that anchor to hold him to reality and to keep him in his center. And it has created a very, very dangerous and dark time for John Walker. It's tragic, man. I'm telling you, it's absolutely tragic. All right, next up. Aiden Foley writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Aiden. Gotta say, I'm not enjoying this show. I love seeing Sam and Bucky, but I really don't care for the Flag Smashers, and I feel there's no real tension in the plot so far, Matt. Well, listen, Aiden, I mean, that's the thing. It's all this stuff is subjective. This is all art, whether it's a movie or TV show. If you're watching it and it's not doing it for you, it's just not giving you that experience, it's not hitting you that way, that's art, man. That's art. And there's nothing wrong with that, and you shouldn't apologize for that. It's just not hitting you the right way. But I gotta say, up until this episode, I have enjoyed it, but I haven't been like losing my mind in love with it. Enjoying it, but not losing my mind in love with it. But this episode, to me, the Flag Smashers have become very multidimensional. There are people who see themselves with a real legitimate cause. Even Sam says, I agree with your cause. I just don't agree with your methods. And so they have grown on me a lot, even though I still hate the name Flag Smashers, but whatever. And I am really now feeling it. This episode is the, that extra little fire in the tank that is really making the engine hum for me, but it didn't do that for you. And that's totally okay, man. That's totally okay. All right. Next up, Dave Atkins writes, loving this show. There's something distinct and genuine about the MCU that makes me forget I'm watching these actors play their roles and makes these comic book icons feel flawed and relatable. Listen, that is one of the things that I've really appreciated, going all the way back into WandaVision as well. They are showing that they're heroes, but guess what? They can make mistakes and they can make the wrong decisions. And there's different elements and there's different dimensions to them. And it's not all just nice and tidy and clean and whatever. And they're really exploring that. They did that with WandaVision. They're doing it again here in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're making bad decisions sometimes. They're making mistakes. Maybe they're not thinking things the right way. However it is, they really are doing a great job of making the characters feel more relatable. I guess maybe that's the way to put it. It makes them feel a little bit more relatable on that level, and we connect with them a little bit more. When we're able to relate with them on that level, we're able to connect with them a little bit more. So yeah, man, Dave, I completely agree, dude. I completely agree. All right, guys, I might have to wrap this up a little sooner than I thought. You guys know I did a couple of hours this morning. We've been going for a couple hours now. My voice is starting to go a bit. I will try to get through a couple more here. Al writes, "Hey, John, this episode made me hate Carly and sympathize with Walker." I get it. Yeah. Carly murdered GRC people and killed Battlestar. Can't blame Walker for losing it. And that is going back to what the last person said, Al. That's part of the real brilliance of this. The MCU, see, this show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, is not presenting us with nice, clean, easy black and white. There's, to quote, to pardon the pun, but there's 50 shades of gray. There's 50 shades of gray. At times, we empathize with Carly and understand, and then we're like, oh my God, what is this girl doing? What is this girl becoming? At the same time, with Walker, we're like, this dude is all the pressure in the world on him. All he wants to do is be a hero and do the right thing and do the job. And then we think, oh my God, like, how is he such a dick? And why is he doing this? And but there's 50 shades of gray here. And I think what you just pointed out, Al, is a really good example of that. And I think you're absolutely right about that. Okay, next up, Will Lambert writes, "If we see Sam become Captain America, will that change your opinion that only Steve can be Cap? Like Spider-Verse changed your opinion on how only Peter Parker can be Spider-Man, or is that different?" I think that's completely different because you're talking about it in a different universe. Listen, there is only one Captain America. That's it. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Other people can pretend to be Captain America, but there is but one Captain America. Now, look, I do not want them. I don't want Sam calling himself Captain America at the end of this show. I don't want that. But I do believe that's what they're going to do. I think Sam Wilson is great as the Falcon. And I think he has great value in the MCU as Falcon. And I'm even cool with him taking up Cap's shield and carrying on his legacy as Falcon. You know, take on that stars and stripes uniform for Falcon, carry Cap's shield, but still be Falcon. But I do suspect they will be calling him Captain America by the end of it. But I don't like that. But I don't like that for almost all heroes. Thor is Thor. Batman is Batman. Captain America is Steve Rogers. I just don't like this. Let's just get another character and call them the same name. I'm not big on that. I'm not big on that, to be honest with you. And honestly, I think it devalues Falcon. I think the suggestion that Falcon only has value in the MCU if he calls himself Captain America. And I disagree with that too. I think Falcon has value as Falcon, as the hero he is. But I don't know. Listen, it's something I can have my mind changed on, to be honest with you. I could have my mind changed on that. But that's just, I've always felt that way about a lot of these heroes. Like calling somebody else in hockey the great one. No, Wayne Gretzky was the great one. The great one is Wayne Gretzky is the great one. You can go ahead and give yourself that nickname if you want, but you ain't the great one. There is only one. That was Wayne Gretzky. But anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. Whatever it is. All right. I will try to do one last one here. Okay, one last one. Connor Dixon writes, "Bucky at the beginning is probably my single favorite MCU scene." I mean, that was a great scene. I don't know that I'd call it my favorite MCU scene overall, but there is no doubt it was a great scene. It was a really, really great scene. That whole Wakanda Io and him being free, especially when you understand the nearly century-long pain he had been in, being under other people's control, made to do unspeakable things, and to realize for the first time in 70 years, he was free of it. It was a beautiful scene. I absolutely loved that. All right, I said that was the last one. Let's try to do one more. Alexander, let me take a sip though. Hold on a second. Alexander Kent writes, "I know the comics are the comics, but they do have stories relate." It's true. They do have stories relate. "Do you think that Walker will become the Punisher? Comic referral, death of Cap?" I don't think so. I think when we get Punisher in the MCU for the first time, it's going to be the real Punisher. All right. It's going to be Frank Castle. Somebody else, maybe later, they may make somebody else a Punisher later on, but I don't think they're going to introduce Punisher in the MCU without it being Frank Castle. I personally think that's how they'll do it. Now, I mean, it's possible though, Alexander. It's possible they could do that. It totally is. But I think when they do feel like they're ready to bring in Punisher, it's going to be the Punisher we know. It's going to be Frank Castle. That'll be Punisher. It's like when they brought in Spider-Man into the MCU. They brought in the Spider-Man. They brought in Peter Parker. And so that's what I think they're going to do. Now, they could do it a different way. They totally could. But I do think that's the way they're going to do it. And it's going to be Frank Castle. All right, guys, listen. There are more coming. Raymond Verrata, Casinema, Murray, I Want to Watch You, and others. We are going to do a part 2 of this video this weekend. So if you had sent in a question, comment, observation, theory, opinion about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we haven't got to it yet, don't worry. We're going to do a part 2 of this video this weekend, and you will see it answered in part 2. But I have run out of gas. Sorry, guys, my throat's gone. I can't do it anymore. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this week's installment of Falcon and the Winter Soldier open spoiler discussion for episode 4. And there's only 2 episodes left. There's only 2 episodes left. I can't believe it. By the time we were through 4 episodes in WandaVision, we still had 5 episodes to go. We've only got 2 episodes left. Anyway, guys, hey, listen. Thank you, everybody, for being here and making it even more fun watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier for us to do these spoilers chats afterwards. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who sent in your opinions and thoughts and theories and everything like that. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about, some great observations as well. And, of course, you supported our channel while you did it at the same time. And all of us involved here with our channel, thank you guys very, very much for that. Okay, guys, that'll do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for being here. Again, keep your eyes open for our companion video this weekend and for part 2 of our Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4 open spoiler discussion. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.